Kumlen Ablakamota. Today, Sunday's Daf is Daf Hey. We're actually up to the dollar of the days in the bottom, and we're having an interesting discussion about when the Torah, when you read the word in one way, but it's written in another format. For example, the vav is missing. So when you look at the writing, then it's missing a vav. It's written in singular. But if you read it the way we follow the Mikra, is it's plural. So how do we view that? We brought a number of opinions that they're actually arguing. Now the Gemara at this stage is saying, no, everyone agrees always. We say yesh aim lemikra, and our proof was from the word milk. Chalav with the milk. So chalev is mikra, but with Mesiris would be chalev, fats. So how do we know what's milk? Maybe it means fats. Must be because we follow the mikra, and then we explained each argument according to the view that is mikra. But the Gemara is not happy, and we're up to a dollar on the base, about 10 lines from the bottom of the page. The first of the line is the Alma. Says the Gemara. Well, you're telling me the Kuli Alma, everyone agrees Yeshem Lemikra. You're telling me that everyone agrees that we follow the way it's written in the Torah. Let me ask you, we have a machlekes. How do we know that you only have to have 4 parshias in your tefillin? The Torah doesn't say anything about tefillin. It says you have a sign between your eyes. What does that mean? So we see there's an argument of Bishmol of Akiva. From that argument, we can glean 100% that Bishmol says you follow the one of them says the Mesiris, the way it's written, and the other one says no, we don't follow the Mesiris. So says the one as follows. By the time we learn, it says litatafis. It says 3 times the word litatafis, twice in singular format without the vav, and once with the vav. Hare kan arba. That's how we know that for Divrei Rabbi Shmuel. It's clear Rabbi Shmuel is following not the mikra will be plural. If you follow mikra, then you read the. He says you follow the Mesiris. The Mesiris is that is singular, and therefore we say that you have 4 pairs, 4 tefillin. Says the Gemara. Case has a whole problem because in our Sefer Torah there's no vav in any of the words. Why do you bring in one is plural and one's chulu? By us it doesn't say any vav. It tries to work out a way where you take out a vav, and put it in the middle. We had before Goyd in the Masifin, he puts it in here as well. Anyway, so the Gemara says comes along Rabbi Akiva ain't no tzarich. We don't have a darsha from the words. Tat, the word Tortofis is tat and fas, is tat bekaspi in this nation called Kaspi, it means 2. And pas ba'afrikishtein, and pas in Africa means 2. And you put the word together, you have a total of 4. And, yesterday, Rabbi Kivan put in there on the chat there from I don't remember Sefer it is a little explanation that all the languages derivative is from Lashon Kodesh. Yeah. Okay, thank you. But Teja says over here, how do you know it means 4? Maybe it means they have a lot more than 4, just starting out. So to give a few answers. One of them is it's only 4 times in the whole Torah does it say you should put on film. And because only 4 times in Torah is mentioned film, so that's how we know the 4 pashas. So then Mashal goes to town. So when he tough ice, just say you have 4 pashas in the Torah film, it's 4. And he tries to give his shot there. But all languages are derived from Lashon Kodesh. Eloilam pligi. So what is he clear from here? They are arguing. Whether you go after Mikra Mercedes. But what about milk? So he said an interesting thing. They always argue. For example, missing a vav, it reads Lashon Yachid. It's written Lashon Yachid, but you read Lashon Rabbi because you say tough face, but it's missing a vav. Basu kais, missing a vav. So if you follow the Mikra, it's plural. If you follow the Mercedes, it's singular. But where the spelling is exactly the same, Cholav or Chalev is exactly the same, Chalev or Chalev is exactly the same, then we always follow the Mikra. When it's different amount of letters. Where Chalev and Chalev is the same letters, then everyone agrees Yeshem Mikra. Yeah, is that so? It says in the pasuk, and talks about being oile regel 3 times a year. It says 3 times a year, you should make an appearance. Every male should make an appearance. So there's a machlekes. If somebody is blind on one eye, is blind on both eyes, some is patur from mitzvah. But you're blind on one eye, you can see. But if we're going to say the way it's written, Yira, and we read it Yeroeh, so we compare. And the way Rashi learns, Yira is referring to Hashem. He comes to see us, and Yeroeh is the way we appear before Hashem, the way we see Him. That we equate our seeing Hashem to Hashem seeing us. Hashem sees us, obviously with both eyes, no mum, nothing missing. So we have to see Hashem with 2 eyes, and we're blind in one eye. So we see from here, and that's a beauty about the void. But so we see here that we follow also the way it's written. Yireh, we imagine it says Yireh. Even though we read it Yireh and Mikra, we also say Yireh. Mashenk, in the opinion who argues, says no. You only look at the Mikra, it's Yireh. No, you can't. If you're blind in one eye, so what? So we see clearly, even though the spelling is exactly the same, they're still arguing. Yesh and Mikra, Yesh and Amshaydas. Says the Gemara, Yireh, Yireh, the Chiyadot, the same amount of letters. Uplik is an argument. If you're blind in one eye, you partish, and it says Yireh, Yireh, Kedersh, Kach Bolilis. Ma leader of just after later on, saying the Abishah comes to see you with 2 eyes. That's an Rashi. It takes exactly the opposite, but the idea is the same. The Abishah sees you with both eyes, so too you, when you're going to be seen by Hashem, you should be seeing also with both eyes. So we see clearly from here, the machlekes, even though the spelling is the same. So in fact, there's an argument across the board. Yesh aim lemikra, the way we read it, or yesh aim lemasayda is the way it's written. Nu goes back to the question of milk. Because the Torah says loy sevashel gediba. Look at the context. It says don't cook. Fats doesn't cook. Fats fries, and therefore we know it has to be something that cooks. Milk, a liquid, will cook with the meat. Loy sevashel gediba. Then bishul asad Torah. So Rashi and Taisus and a number of Shem hold that frying does not have the same thing as cooking. The Rogatchover wants to say that it's only limited. Remember that 3 Avedas by Basa B'Chol. You're not allowed to cook, you're not allowed to eat, you're not allowed to have Hana. So the Rogatchover wants to say it's only when it comes to the Isser of Bishul do we make a distinction between fats, between cooking or frying. But regarding the other Isserim, if you fry something in milk, it's still Asa Mahatorah, even though it's in Taisus and Rashi doesn't come out that way. It seems like Mahatorah, if you fry milk with flesh, meat, it's only midrabanan, because the Torah says that of bishul and tigun, frying is not bishul, but the Rosh is only limited to the Isra of Sabashal, not regarding other Isra. But this negates the other halachas as well. Frying is considered like cooking or not. We learned in the Darden, if you make a neder about cooking, doesn't include roasting, doesn't include frying, and all these other things. No. In Hilchos Shabbos, yes, bishul achrafiyah. No, it is bishul achrafiyah. Some want to say it's a difference if it's deep fried or shallow fried. No, it's deep fried is no different than cooking because it's an oil and the else. Exactly, but if it's deep fried and shallow fried, yeah, exactly. And Hilchos Kashering is a big difference also about kashering a frying pan. If you only use like deep frying, a deep fryer. Okay, let's continue. Finish the sugi. This was a digression. Back to our Gemara. You need 3 judges. The im haya mumche l'rabi. But if he was a mumche, if he was an expert, in other words, he's that either everyone is aware of it, or that he is a mumche compared to everybody else out there, and he teaches whatever. Is don afili yechidi. He can judge even alone, and we already had it before because we said tzedek according to one opinion, tzedek tishbet amisecha, and that it's a singular. And according to Rashi, this follows the opinion that ain aid of parshi is kasav kan, that we don't take the pasuk of shemrim and move it into laws of commercial loans and all that. Taisus said there's no link between the two. Even if you hold air of parshiyas, but there's a overriding pasuk that says tzedek amisecha. Anyways, I'm a perfect example. I can judge the Imam Yechidi. Rav Nachman is telling us what he means a mumcha. You have to be someone in the status, in the caliber of Rav Nachman. I can do it as well. When he said like me, in what respect? Does it mean the Gamirna, I learned everything, and Savirna, I know how to extrapolate from there and move on? In other words, to grow and to probe further. The Nikitna Rishus, three factors: Gamirna, Savirna, and you took Rishus. You took Rishus from the Nasi or the Reish Galusa. You got permission to Paskin. We'll soon see the Gemara of why do you need permission. But if you don't get permission from the Nasi, then dine lav dine, whatever your Paskin is meaningless. Is that what he meant? Is that what he means? No, you have to be mumcha like me. If you're a single judge and you're not in the caliber of Rab Nachman or Rab Chia, your judgment is worthless. But even if you didn't get permission, if you're Gamirna, V'Savirna, it's good enough. You don't need permission. Says the Gemara Toshma coming here. Is it important to have permission to become a dayan? Do you need permission or not? Second Toshma coming to Marzutra. Rab Nachman Don Dina V'Tah. Rab Marzutra once paskined and he made a mistake. He made a mistake in the outcome in his sentence. Also, Lekam made Rabbi Yosef came for Rabbi Yosef. What should I do? Amalei im kiblu chalayu, if they accepted you as a judge and like the Shalom. If two people have a dispute and they accept their father, as we'll see in the Gemara later, they accept anybody to be the judge. But the Eloi, if they didn't accept you, that means you forced them to come to the bezin. Then zil shalom, and you made a mistake. Since you did not have permission, go pay. On the one hand, in other words, there's no professional indemnity unless you get rishus. If you don't have rishus, then you didn't. If you know how to learn, if you're gomer v'sava, you didn't still psak, but you're responsible if you make a mistake. So the rishus comes to give you professional indemnity. Exactly, it's like a doctor, a professional indemnity. Says the Gemara. When we say you can down on your own, what we mean is anybody can judge. It means that I can force you to come to the din Torah. That's the whole word. I can force you and subpoena you to come. Says the Gemara. If somebody wants to pass and you want to make sure you have professional indemnity, is lishko to shusa beis glusa. Get permission. The rabbis and chutzlar says I get permission from the beis glusa. Lishko to shusa beis glusa. Shmuel said the same thing. You should get rishus from the reish glusa. Says Gemara, pshita. There's no question. Very interesting here. Nahacha lahacha. You got rishus in one city here in Babel, and now you're moving to another city. Of course, you're allowed to paskin. Or mahasam lahasam within Israel, you got rishus from the Nasi, and you want to paskin someone else in Israel. No problem. You can pass it anywhere you want in Israel. It's not a city, a provincial dedicated thing. It's the entire Israel. What about if you received rishus in Bavel, you have every right and authority to pass it in Israel. Mahani. Why? Why Bavel? Because the hacha sheva Bavel has much more authority, like a rod. They're just lawgivers. When it comes to authority, we're much stronger. Kiratanya lo yosa sheva mi Yehuda. You shouldn't leave Yehuda. Elo Rasha Gol Yishuv Bavavim. Sharoy Yisrael b'Sheva. They beat Eden with a stick. Aber Mechayki b'Bein Raglov, the lawgiver. Elu b'Nei Bana Shehilu Shalam Tevedabim. They're big scholars, but they don't have that kind of authority. So we can do it over there. So what's Takab Shah? What do you mean? It comes from Yehuda. Yehuda is not just so. So there's they quoted in Shalmi. It says in Mukhi Yosef actually says that in Bavel the Reish Galusa comes from the son of David HaMelech. So he has full authority. In Eretz Yisrael, Rebbe said, Shabbos, that he comes from the daughter of Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi. And therefore, they don't have that koyach of authority, which makes it more difficult to understand that the Rebbe didn't want to write, the Rebbe has a whole different explanation, but the standard explanation comes that the Rebbe didn't want to put Chanukah in Mishnayos because the Rebbe comes from Beis David and they were upset that Chashmonayim took over things. Apart from everything else, it's unimaginable. But apart from that, Rebbe came from he wasn't from the lineage of monarchy. He was from the Keva, from the daughter of David HaMelech, not from the son. Anyway, so comes authority, which is based on Hefker, based on Hefker. Reish Galusa is much stronger. What about from Eretz Yisrael to here? Rabba Bar Chana once paskin, the Torah made a mistake. Also the Kamel of Bechidus and Eretz Yisrael, they came before that Bechir. If they accepted upon you, is all good. If they came upon you, is all good. But they didn't. If they wouldn't makabel you, zil shalom, go get permission. Sorry, go pay. Now, Rabba Bachona Rishus Abinoke, Rabba Bachona had permission. He had permission. And he was in Eretz Yisrael. And then he came down to Bubble. Shmamina Mahasam Lahacha Mahani. From Eretz Yisrael to Bubble, the smicha or the Rishus is not good enough. Shmamina. It doesn't help. Taisa wants to know how come in other things we say that we are bottled compared to the Rabbonim Eretz Yisrael. The Taisa, Rabbein Tam says, what we learned about Basa just recently, that Avida the Eretz Yisrael machkim. So when it comes to learning, scholastic, Eretz Yisrael has scholarship. When it comes to authority, it's Bubble. Pay. I told my and you forfeit, and we'll see in later that that you made. Let's say you said this is a Torah, it turned out to be tummy. So this Torah, so you put it all over your house, matame, all your food and everything else. No, but it caused harm. You can't undo it. Well, otherwise, just undo it. The Mahani doesn't help, but Rabhuna's son Rabba. He wants to have a fight with Omar, he said, Lab me neichu the kitchen of Shusa. I never got the Shusa from you. The kitchen of Shusa, you know I got the Shusa from? My Abba Mori is my father, which is Ravuna. And Abba Mori got it from Rav. And Rav got it from Abchia, which is already going now to so Rav himself was in Etzisol when he was young. He was learned by Rebbe. And then he went to Bubble later. We had the Bubble getting Bechia also Rav the Bubble. And we had then Yum as well. But Abchia Rebbe, Abchia got it from Rebbe. So we see clearly he never got a shush from the Reish Galusa, and he was paskening in Bubble. Says the Gemara, so therefore you're not my boss. I don't have to listen to you. The Milsa the Alma who the Oikim Lahu. Says the Gemara, they only made him. They gave him. They were only arguing about general things. They weren't arguing about psukim. Since you tell me it didn't help, didn't help Rabbi Bechana, so the shus is not. What do you get the shus for? What's the point of having the shus? If he did shus in that Yisrael did not help for Bubble, what was the point of getting the shus? That they are in Bubble, in the border, or near Yisrael, on the border, and they're really part of Yisrael. He was able to paskin for them over there. My shus. What is truth? When Rabbi Bechana came to Bavel, when he went down to Bavel, this is not the famous Rabbi. Sorry, general to become it's like smicha, but it's not. We're not talking about smicha, we're talking about rishus.
Like a lawyer has to be admitted to the bar. He's got his degree. He's got his
exactly.
Has to be
exactly. Smicha can only be in Etzisrael, not in Chutzlar. So we're not talking about smicha, we're talking about rishus. We'll talk more about smicha later on. Kevin Nochi's Rabba Bacham Bubble. Rabba Bacham came to Bubble. Amalei Rebbe Chile Rebbe. So Rabbi said to Rebbe, Ben Achi Yoyed Le Bubble. Rabbi's brother Chana had a son called Rabba. This is not the famous Rabba Bar Chana. This is Rabba Bar Chana. As Taisa points out, somebody else lived before. And my nephew's here. He's going to Bubble. He's Yodin. Yatib Chedes Yatib. He gave him all smichas. Yodin. And he gave me Yatir, which is for Pchaydas to work out there's a blemish, not a blemish. His other nephew, Rab, went to Bubble. My nephew's going to Bubble. But Yatir B'Chaydas Yatir. We won't give him the right to work out, and we'll see later why. Why did he call one the son of my brother? Well, why the other one he called the son of my sister? When in fact he was also his brother. We had him getting a psachar there. They're also his brother. That this is the fact. It was his sister's son Rav. His brother's son was Rabbah. It's not true. Eloy and Chona and Sheila and Marta and Rabchia Kulu b'nei Abba bar Acha Karsla Mikvar Haver. Who in the world is Acha bar Abba Karsla? They have such great, children and grandchildren. You have between Abchia and Rav, and we had in Ksubas daily Maisachia. Rav, Sigmar says Rav was Bar Achve Dahabi Bar Achte. In fact, this Abba married more than one wife, and one of the wives came into the marriage with another daughter, and therefore he and that was also the sister of I guess Rabchia. So Rabchia was the uncle of Rav through his brother Ava and through his sister who was Rav's mother. Rav Barachva Barachte. Rav Bachana was only Barachva, was only the son of his brother, the La Barachte and his sister. That's why he pointed that out. In other words, I'm bunding and kript. We're together. I'm his uncle on both sides. Or it was sort of more a metaphor. Al Shem Chachmasa, he was trying to say Rab is unbelievable. The Chiyuv says, Emer la Chachma achoisiyat. When it comes to Chachma, you call it, Mishrael calls it a sister. So therefore, he said, my sister, son. Yate, Yate, my time, why not? Ilay Mishum lechakim, that Rab didn't know it. Hakamrina, the Chakim Tuva, Rab was a genius. El should le bekia b'mumeh. So one pshat is that he wasn't an expert in mumim. In other words, he knew the theory, but when you looked at the actual mum and the body, you couldn't tell what's a mum. Or it was just a transient mum, which means it doesn't count, or it was a permanent mum. What we're talking about, 18 months I spent at a farm, those shepherds to raising animals, to know the difference. From here, the Achreim learned that a Rav or a Dayan has to get professionals from professionals, not from you can't for medical things, for anything. You see, really, that's 18 months. It's a year and a half, and they didn't let him pass it afterwards anyway. Like a total waste of time. Maybe he didn't give permission, so Rabbi Chana should stand out because Rab was superior to Rabbi Chana, and in Bubble people wouldn't give that a ches Rabbi Chana because Rab. So by giving Rabbi Chana an extra license, and Rab didn't have it, people then gave cover to Rabbi Chana. That's one shot. And this is very interesting. Rab was too good. The Rabbi Kiba Mumitzvah, he was an expert. He could tell a mum that to our naked eye it looked like a permanent mum, or to us it looked like a temporary mum. And Rab would say this is a permanent mum. And the problem is that we would then start drawing comparisons. But we saw Rab last time Pascal that this is a real mum. The Shadi mum and Liyadin people studying matter, people don't know. But Amrik Hagab Rab last time Rab was matter this. We had the same thing about Meir. Too smart. Rabbi Ishia was too smart. And Rav in this particular discipline was too smart, so therefore it can't have it because people will make mistakes. So anyway, right, Yoida. Now let's understand. Yoida. If he knows how to learn, why in the world do you need a shus? Why do you need a shus? Yeah, the obvious question is, we just said before, to get your professional indemnity. Professional indemnity is more to do with commercial law than Yeda, which is kosher treif and all that. For that, you don't. You need your shus for what's treif, what's not treif, and so on. So what lemishku, lemishku. What do you need your shus for? So said a very interesting thing. Like today, Rabbi Kashi used to say he's giving smicha to everybody because smicha at least teaches you what a shaila is. So Gemara says a little bit differently, but the idea is what's the reshus? It trains you, it teaches you something. What is that? Because an incident happened. Rebbe went somewhere, he's the same, but Rebbe saw that people were kneading their dough in Talmudic kalim. He couldn't understand because it's water, becomes tamik. And a lot of people eat, Taz Kaddish. Why aren't you careful? He said, why? A student once came here, and he told us that Mei B'Tsoyim ain't machshin. He said the Mei B'Tsoyim, which means like swamp water or marsh water, does not prepare your keli for tumah. But the truth of the matter is that's not what the Talmud said. Well, who may bayim dorshel? He said water of eggs. No, it was eggs, and not from the same mashkin. The Torah said, in other words, had he had reshus, they would teach him to be very clear in your psakim. How do you make a mistake from Meiptzai Meibei? I didn't see this anywhere, but if I remember correctly, it's Rabbeinu Chananel in the beginning of Beya, or one of the Shem beginning of Beya, who says you're not allowed to say Beitzah because Beitzah is not a nice word. So say Beya. I know, but from the original Rishonim, I think it's Mecha. Because Beya is Lashon Akiyah and Beitzah is not Lashon Akiyah. And that was a Talmud's mistake. How can you make a mistake in Beitzayim? If he would have said Mei Beyim, if that's what he was said, there's no way they would come up and say, oh, he told us Mei Beitzayim was Mutter. Obviously, what he said was Mei Beitzim, which sounds very much like similar to Mei Beitzayim. And that was his mistake. That was his mistake, that he didn't know this thing or didn't learn all the maybe. But Tonam, another mistake. Another mistake. That's the long way of Ram Kufn and Vav. That's goes on forever. Yeah. With Tonam, another mistake they made is May, Carmi, and May, Pega, these two rivers, Sulim, Deshaim, May, they made psoy. In other words, talking about a Karmachatas, you need Mayim, Chayim, Kelly, you need spring water. So he said, these waters are not spring water. So they thought that it's not something specific about Karmachatas because he didn't spell it out. He just said, don't use it for Karmachatas. He didn't spell it out. So they thought it meant that these waters are not treated like water. So therefore, it doesn't prepare the kelim. The loyi, but Emerson is not so. What comes to chat is being my chaim. Any water is machshir. So a mistake again because the Talmud wasn't clear, didn't explain fully why you said by chatzah doesn't pass. Why not? You should always explain the reason so then they can see, not start drawing parallels. But we learned. Boy, to show that moment goes and make the Talmud. You don't can go into shus, but you should not pass unless you have a shus. You know why I need a shus now? The shus is to teach you how to train you, how to paskin, how to paskin. You know how to learn already. It's just how to communicate. Tanchum be about me equal chassid. Tanchum so about most came to say chassid. Dorish lui darshan mutter liltes chitin bepesach. You take wheat and soak in the water because they used to pound it straight away, so they didn't have a chance to rise. Lav Rebbe money. They mean Sud Ikacha. That money from Sud, who's one of your Rebbes, is here. But Tanya, we learned Talmud al Yoda Lochem Bakim Rabbi and Al Paskin in the vicinity of your Rebbe. Elikin Hayrachim and the Sholos Pasayis have to be a distance of 12 so you can machne so. Because Moshe Rabbeinu was everybody went to Moshe Rabbeinu no matter where you lived in the Yiddish camp. And we know Rabbi said to the Chazli, I saw the size of the camp and was 12 mil. I didn't realize it. So it's a big machlek l'shayim. But trace the shit and another shame is that when we say a paskin for your Rebbe is even with Rishus, if the fun of with Rishus, you're chay misa. Within 12 kilometers within Rishus, you're not allowed to lav. Outside of 12 kilometers with Rishus, you're allowed to paskin. But if you have no Rishus, you can have a paskin. Ever paskin. If your Rebbe is around. Anyway, because wherever you are, you like him in front of Rabbi. Unless you'll see later when you want to stop someone from doing an Aveda, that's a different story. Yeah, I'm going to write. He saw a person standing in the basic quarters. You're crying. What are you doing here? Yes. He had big eyes. He saw this divorcee, and therefore he's no longer his mechalel, and therefore he's not. His father was married a grusha, so he's not a kohen. Rashi is perplexed. What in the world, Rashi says it has this connection with our Gemara here. As a result of that, Rashi changed the whole Gemara around. That he didn't say anybody based Akkadis. It wasn't Abchi, it was Rebbe. And the story here was that this guy was in Aku, which is part Eretz Yisrael. Remember we learned in Gittin. Aku is half Eretz Yisrael, half Chutzlaret. And he saw the guy standing on the Chutzlaret side, and therefore he pointed out to him that you're not allowed to. Yeah, exactly. And because this story is a continuation of Rebbe of the first story, which this story is not really negated to anything we were saying before about you need Rishus, but because it's the same Rebbe, it's just happened at the same time, so we're continuing the story. And it's not Rechia, and it wasn't the basic quarters. And it wasn't, and all that. Yeah. So we're right. Interesting Rashi. So we're right. Pshit lepalga. If you only gave, let's say yoda, didn't get yoda. Hakama the mahani. Of course, it helps. Actually, for yoda. Like we all got yoda. Many of us. Al tanai mai. What happens? He says, I'm giving you smicha for a year or 2 years. I'm giving you for a year, 2 years. Can you do that? Can you make it a short term? He said to him, I'm giving you reshus until you come back here. Once you're back here, we don't need you. We don't need you to pass me plenty of dayanim. But when you're traveling, you can have reshus. Let's finish the sugi here. Rav asked Nachman a question. It says, "I feel shnayim mezakin, shnayim mechayiv." You said you need 3. You said even one can paskin, right? We started off this whole gemara that one judge can paskin. It says if 2 people, there were 3 judges, but 2 of them said the guy is innocent, and then the 3rd judge suddenly says, "I don't know." The din is you got to bring more judges into the picture. Why? You said that even one b'di'evet is good, and here you have 2, and even if you got a 3rd judge, it will be 2 against 1. So why is it din that it's not good enough? Did I? Oh, sorry. I skipped along. Okay, goof amash more beisha done than I didn't as with the chatzah. Two paskin this a bezel chatzah. Yosef nach Gamal Shmaiter nach repeated it. No, we said before Yochid can dan, but the Rabban you need three. But so you ask the question and you're saying that two, but the evidence is all right. It says over here, two people came out and said he's innocent or guilty. They don't know. You see for the unit. But it means to lose. If you're right that two, but the evidence is all right. This is a case of the evidence, and you have two, and the story. Says Gemara, shiny husam. This is very different. The mikara died to the tlosa. You see, but when they sat down to paskin, we had three, so you have to finish with three. Even though we had in Ksubas the Chabad we had before in Babasa that if we started out with three and then one of them passed away, you write on the star the Moshe Tlosa Havina, and then you write one of them passed away. But that's regarding a star. But a psak did with Bezin, you start with three, you need three. Lav adai to the Tlosa Yosef. He sat down with two, so it's kosher, but it's only b'diavad. Instead of saying hadin b'shloisha, a bezin is three, but a pshara b'shnaim. A pshara you need when it comes to compromise, two is enough. But yafik koyach pshara gadin, but pshara is stronger than din. Sheshnaim shedonu baladin yochayin lachzman. When it comes to din taila and two people, let's say we judge them, they can change their mind. Or b'shnaim she'asu pshara. But the two people make a pshara, ain't baladin yochayin lachzman. The baladin cannot change their mind because a pshara can only be if you accepted it, which everyone already asks. If a pshara is accepting and so din Torah also is accepting, we have to be you're drawing parallels. By din Torah the same thing. If we accepted it, too bad. Once you've committed yourself. What's the din of pshara and the din? When you tell me, so it says clearly here that a din Torah needs three people. If you're going to tell me that the Rabban arguing Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, said clearly that two people cannot pass in the row Akasha on Rav Nachman and Shmuel that said but the other two is good enough. Says Gemara, Gavra Karam is what he says the two is no good. And we said two is good. And we had before. Rav holds that eight of Pasha's Kosev Khan, you need three judges. From you learn three times Elakim, it says by Shomer.